Hi, I'm Mike McGhie, Content Manager at Course Report, where we help people find and choose the best courses to reach their career goals. Today, I'm joined by Malcolm McGhie, a software QA engineer and Careerist graduate. Malcolm brings over 11 years of quality assurance experience across software, aerospace, defense, and nuclear industries. After building a strong foundation in QA, he decided to enroll in Careerist to sharpen his software testing skills and stay competitive in a changing landscape. I'm excited to talk with Malcolm about why he chose Careerist, what he learned in the program, how he landed his current role at Align Ops, and how the QA field is evolving, including the impact AI is already having on QA careers. Welcome, Malcolm.
Thanks, Mike. Thanks for having me. I'm happy to be here and talk about my experience with Careerist.
Awesome. We're happy to have you here. So, before Careerist, you had experience in QA across multiple industries. What gaps or limitations did you feel in your skill set that pushed you to a boot camp?
Well, I think first off, it's important to say like why I wanted to transition from what I was doing into software. After about 10 years, I had a little bit of burnout in such highly regulated industries like nuclear, aerospace, defense. It's super regulated. It's very strict. And I think after 10 years, I was like ready for a change. And also during COVID, I had my first taste of working remotely and I loved it. But in our industry, we're forced to like work with the actual hardware that we're working on and testing. So I was forced to go back to the office. So since that time, around 2022, I was looking for a way out or a way to work remotely. And unfortunately, since it is highly regulated, there's lots of restrictions on working remotely as well. Even if you want to work from outside the US, in the US, it's really hard to find remote work in the industry. So from about 2023, I was looking for a way to transition out of what I was doing. And I kept hearing about Careerist actually on YouTube randomly. People would talk about QA and um, so about 2025, I finally bit the bullet. And what I feel like I was lacking from my own knowledge, or since I have quality experience, I was just lacking the part about software and like how to actually use my skills in QA to transition to software without, because there's a lot of information online, and I really wanted to have a way to streamline it and not really waste my time because I already took a long time to get to that point to make the decision. So I was like, okay, I need to just find a program that is concise and also is focused on getting a job. So that's why I chose Careerist, and it was a good payoff for me.
Yeah, you invested quite a bit of time in kind of deciding to jump into this, and then you had these external factors of COVID and the limited opportunities you had with your current roles there. So you discover Careers on YouTube, you go through that research process. Once you decided on Careerist, what course did you take? The QA bundle, or just kind of walk through what program you did at Careerist?
Okay. Well, I didn't decide to do the QA bundle. Years ago, I tried to, do some coding on my own, and I figured I didn't really enjoy it so much. So I decided to do the manual course. I think for me, that was the most straightforward way to transition, or the easiest way for me. I think I'm a strange case, or a unique case, because I do have quality experience. I'm not transitioning into quality per se, but more into the software and tech world. So I decided to go with the manual bundle. It was only, a 10-week course. And the most important thing for me was, them focusing on getting me the job. And through the course, I did find that it was very practical. It wasn't much theory. It was like, you need to know these things, and, they hammered it into you. So that really helped with the process and understanding what I needed to know. And I think anyone can do this type of work. And I think Careers really helps because I think I was the only person who had quality experience, but everyone who was in my class was able to pick up on the concepts and understand, the lingo. It took some time for me to not understand, but learn the new terminology for software. But Curious did a good job at making sure all the information was easy to digest. And with the coursework and homework and things like that, it was easy to pick it up and understand quickly what we're doing.
So you do the manual QA program. What does a typical week look like in that program. So just kind of walk through what you were experiencing and learning in the Manual QA program.
Okay, from what I remember, there was about two live courses a week, and they'll basically go over, what is quality testing, what is manual testing, how to write bug reports, how to write test cases. And those are like pretty much the main functions of what you're doing as a quality engineer in software. So every week we have a couple courses. If you can't make the live, then they would always record it. And after the fact, you can watch it on your own time, whether it's after work or whenever you have the time. So that was also really helpful because sometimes I couldn't make the live courses, due to other factors or other plans that I had. But it was really flexible in that aspect to, have a structured plan every week of like what we're going to be learning, do the course or take the class, the live class, do the homework, do the assignments. And then also all the assignments had feedback. So if there's anything that you did wrong or something you don't understand, it was always easy to get over that hurdle to get to the next step.
Thank you for sharing that. It sounds great. How you've mentioned parts of the program experience. Who were your instructors, and like how did they guide you through the course?
The instructors were mostly people who are actually in the industry currently working, and they decided to, do this other role with Careerist to help other people learn about software quality engineering. And they're really, really helpful. I would say, like I said earlier, there's not much theory in this. They were very straight to the point. Like you need to know these things. And for me, as someone who's very practical, that was really helpful for me not to have too much theory and have actual real world application of what we need to know and not too much extra stuff. And also the coursework had other lessons that you could learn on the side to just gain more knowledge apart from the classes that they were giving, just so you can ramp up your knowledge on quality engineering.
You mentioned a bit earlier that you were the only one that had prior quality assurance experience in your cohort in the Manual QA program, but also that it still took some time to pick up the kind of the software lingo part of it. With you having this prior experience, like when did things start to click for you and others while going through the program?
I think for me, things clicked pretty quickly. I'll say after a couple weeks, I pretty much got the new terminology and vocabulary down. And I didn't really have to be a mentor to anyone else because just the nature of the job, it's pretty straightforward. So most of the other students were able to pick it up also very quickly, and that was evident, through our talks, through their questions, and also them completing their own homework and assignments. I think anyone, like really, if you're good at attention to detail, if you can read, if you can follow instructions, like you can do this job.
So, how does the internship part of this journey come in? Was this during the program, after? How did you get the internship at Really.ai? Kind of just walk through where that was in the shift to doing Careerist and going through this career change.
Okay, so after you learned all the basics of software quality engineering, the internship is automatically included in the program, which is something that also I loved about it, just to be able to put that on my resume. So once you complete that initial part of the course, you go straight into the internship, which lasts at least 2 weeks. Everyone has the option, if they want to continue for longer based on their own process. Some people are job searching for maybe 3, 4, 5 months. So for them, it's good to continue practicing, continue in that mindset of QA while they're job searching. So that was also helpful that you can, if you want to, extend the internship for as long as you need it. Um, but in the internship, it was basically the same thing that we learned in the classes. So I would say for me, it was a little bit, in one sense, it was good that there was like a feeling of the people who were the instructors or people that we were reporting to for the internship were connected directly with Careerist. So I didn't feel like what we were actually doing was impacting the company really as a whole. It was more about just doing real life testing at an actual company. So that was the good part. But I know some people might want to say, like, I helped this company do A, B, and C, and it impacted them. So I only did 2 weeks of it. Maybe if someone does it longer, they might have that experience. But from what I experienced, it was just practicing what we already learned. But it was very helpful to, go to stand ups every day, um, talk about what we're doing, because that's exactly what I'm doing now in my current job. So the internship was for sure helpful. But if you're someone who's looking for more impact, it might not be 100% what you're looking for. But I think either way, it's very helpful.
It's great that what you actually practiced in the internship mapped to what you were learning at Careerist and is mapping to what you're currently doing. So, in
Mhm.
that sense, the internship was successful. But I understand the other side of those like want to put it on their resume,
Mhm.
like you helped impact company through X, Y,
Mhm.
and Z, but also you're only doing that so you can get a job to then do those things. You touched on it a bit with the job search and how long that can take for certain students or graduates. How did careerist job search support change the way that you approached applications interviews from going from your previous QA experience and now going through careerist? How did careerist support you through that?
Well, with careers, there were people who worked as recruiters, so they actually told us exactly what to do and like the best practices to find jobs and actually get a response back from the posters of those jobs. So, like one of the rules is, apply Monday through Friday every day, at least 20 to 30 applications a day, and on the weekends, just take a break because if you think about it, people who are actually recruiting, they're not working on the weekends most of the time. So it's best to like, as jobs are posted, the earlier you can apply, the better your chance to get a response. So that was something that I didn't know before. I was mostly doing the opposite is during the week since I was busy with work and stuff, saying, I'm too busy, but then on the weekends applying for hundreds of jobs. But based on my experience and based on the results, they were totally right. Just yeah, apply during the week, take a rest on the weekends, and just be diligent as well. For me, since I felt a little more confident since I had QA experience, I actually started applying pretty much 2 or 3 weeks after starting the course. So I was able to start having interviews before the course actually finished. And with the coaching, there's like mock interviews. They prepare you for interviews. They prepare you for the job. So I think I actually got my offer about a month after I finished like the last thing. So I would just so I'm not sure how it is for other people, but I think for me it was good that I took the course and I got just the confidence to know, okay, this job is doable, it's straightforward, and they also gave you the tools very early on to like, hey, these are the top interview questions you need to read, understand, memorize even. And my interviews were like pretty much 85, 90% of what they told us to study. So for me, it was a really great process to just, um, yeah, follow their instructions. Everything was laid out great for me. Um, and actually, my current job, how I got it, I interviewed in October. I went to, HR interview, manager interview, then a team interview. Everything went great. But at the end of the day, they decided to go with somebody else. HR told me like, hey, like you did really well in the interview. Like we would like you. We're probably gonna open up positions again in January. So if you see us again, like give me a call. And a month later, they had another post on there, looking for another quality engineer. I called them, and the deal was done. I didn't have to re-interview. It was a seamless process, and that was the second company that I interviewed with. So I feel like I got really blessed, and I feel like the stars aligned for me in that way. But I think Careers was without them, it wouldn't have happened. So I'm for sure grateful for them and the process of getting all their students hired, which is their main goal.
Wow, that thank you for sharing that story and walking through your experience there. I think it communicates what's special about certain boot camps that even the ones that are beginner focused, they're like open to all learning backgrounds. Here's a case with you where you have extensive experience in the larger QA industry, but you're coming into this program for something specific, but also building the confidence to get that recognition, that understanding like, oh, I can pick this up. this is how this works, combine that with your previous experience, and then just get a head start on applying for job opportunities, and just the little tweaks that Careerist helped guided you through of just when to apply, and how
Hmm.
many, and to take scheduled breaks. And then here's the questions, and having like what you mentioned, 85 to 90% of some of those questions that careers prep you for, that like just having that, so you're not having to expend all this new
Hmm.
energy to get something, is cool. And just the experience you had with your eventually current employer through the interview experience. Obviously, those that have been working in the tech industry or any industry long enough, that, if you can hear from anyone, it's a miracle. But the fact that you're able to have those interviews, not get the job originally, but stay in contact because they recognized your value, your skill set, and then when something popped up again, you're able to get it. So transitioning into where you're currently working, in the field of QA, there can be certain sensitive areas, but just curious of like what's the day in the life of a QA engineer.
Okay, well, I'm actually at a company right now, especially a construction management company. So companies that work with construction, they help track tools, they help track trucks and their fleet, they help with timekeeping, all those kind of things. So a day of my life is, start the day, check emails, check any messages from Slack, and then I go over what I did the day before, because every day we have a stand up where we share what we did the day before, what we're currently working on, if there's any blockers, any issues. And yeah, we share that as a team every day. So that helps, at least for me. I wasn't used to that before. So it helps me keep, stay accountable for like what I'm doing throughout the day. And there's also other meetings with other teams. We have some developers that are overseas, so we have a meeting with them every day, and also the onshore team with the developers, product managers, product owners. And then after that, I work on tickets that are assigned to me based on the priority. Certain teams have higher priorities than other, and also things that are critical to the functionality of the app or the program is most critical. So those are worked on first. Usually I talk to developers if I have questions about tickets. And the good thing about this, maybe this company, but software in general, at least from my experience so far, this is my first software company that I'm working for. Everyone is super helpful. It's very laid back. You can ask questions even if it's dumb, a dumb question. But yeah, everyone's open to just helping and getting a good product out. So every day is pretty much the same for the most part. We deploy our app every couple of weeks. So sometimes we have to work a little bit later some days just to make sure that the application going out works well and all that kind of thing. Yeah, it's a pretty straightforward job. I love the flexibility to be remote, and they're also flexible with when we do our work. So if we need to take a break or have a family issue or things like that, it's no big deal. As long as you get your work done, everything's kosher.
What a concept of flexibility and people working together. It's great that that exists. So happy that you're experiencing that where you currently work. All right. Since you have such a extensive, rich career in quality assurance, we curious about your insights here. I'm working on another article here at Course Report to demystify the job titles in quality assurance. You search online and it looks like they're the same job, but they're not. So I'm curious if you have any insights on like what's the difference between a QA engineer, a QA tester, or a SDET, software developer and test. Can you break down what's the difference between those different titles in QA?
Well, I'm not too sure exactly the difference. From what I understand, it feels like they're all the same. So I do have an engineering background. I have a bachelor's in mechanical engineering. I kind of assume that when people see my resume, because I have an engineering background, they just stick engineering on it. But I feel like we're all doing the same thing. We're all testing software. We're all making sure the quality is there. So as far as titles go, I'm not really sure what the difference is. I think it's good to apply to all of those things. If you feel like you look at the job description, you can do that job, just apply. But as far as differences, I'm not too sure whether you do quality engineering or quality testing. I think if the job description is something that you feel like you can do, something that's up your alley, something that you want to move forward with, say just apply. And Also, the salary is what you want. I would say there's no issue with it, either title.
Thank you for the honesty there. Of seems like it's a mystery box for everyone, but because of that, you can choose to just say, "Hey, I'm just going to throw my hats in all of the rings and see what's the best for me." So thank you for that. All right, the second question here is, how have you seen QA change over the years? The other part of this is AI is dominating when it comes into tech in many industries, but maybe one or two parts depending on your experience. How have you seen QA change just in general? And if there is an AI component to that, feel free to throw in your thoughts there, but just curious what you think.
Okay, so back when I started in 2014, it was a nuclear company, and there was a lot of paper. There were binders that were 3, 4 inches thick, and there were hundreds of binders. So over the years, the big first transition was everything was transitioning to more electronic. So instead of all the paper, it was more, checking the paperwork online, basically. And then from there, moving to software, I think AI does play a role more for automation and things like that. But for manual testing, I don't think there is much of an impact. I think even with AI, even when things are easier to build, every program, every company will always need human beings to check the quality of the computers, of the software, of AI. So I think AI will probably play a bigger role in the future. I think it's still pretty early, even though in the last year there's been so much advancement. I think at the end of the day, humans will need to test software. Humans will have to have an eye on all things. So I think in the long run, I'm not worried about AI. I think if anything, we'll have to just incorporate it, integrate it into our work somehow. But I think I think that we'll be fine. I don't think AI is going to be taking manual jobs. I think it might have more impact if you're doing automation. Even then, humans will have to do the work. I think actually I had a talk today with one of our managers about AI, and he was saying how like back in the early days of yes, yeah, early days of AI, maybe even 10 years ago, there was a concept of once AI comes out, all these jobs are going to be taken away. But as we can see, I think in the headlines, people see that AI is taking our jobs, but in reality, it's enhancing our jobs. Yes, some jobs have been reduced a bit, but in the grand scheme, it hasn't really made much of an impact. And it will make more of an impact later, but not in the way that we think it is. So I would say my advice at the end of the day is just to embrace it, but don't fear it. And I guess have the knowledge or have the knowing that we're safe at the end of the day.
I think those are wise words. I had the opportunity to interview another careerist graduate a few months ago, David Heidkamp, who went through, I think he did the QA bundle, but he essentially said the same thing, especially when it comes to manual QA. Like there's always going to be a need for humans to check, even if AI can get better at QA automation testing, that someone's going to have to check that to make sure that it's okay. Because while LLMs have gotten much better and they advance seemingly every minute, they can still be manipulated by prompts and data and what they're gathering. So you need humans to be that second pair of eyes to ensure what you are actually assuring is quality. Okay, final couple questions. With your QA experience and your experience going through Careerist and now on the other side working in software QA, would you hire other graduates of Careerist QA engineering boot camps and programs?
Yeah, I would definitely hire someone who took the careers course, completed it, and is out, job searching. I think the fundamentals that we learn with careerists are basically everything that we need to learn for manual testing. So with that, I feel like any person who graduates has the base knowledge to take on any role with manual testing. And of course, every company has its intricacies, has certain things you have to learn differently. If they could go through the QA course and complete it, they can definitely go to any company and pick up on any job. So if my company was hiring someone tomorrow and it was a careers person, a person who took the careers course, or some other random person, and they both had the exact same amount of experience, which is usually none, I'll pick the person who went with careerists because I know that they have a good foundation, they have the tools, and they have the experience also with the internship and also with just homework and the material. So I would definitely hire someone.
All right, ringing endorsement there. Last question. Looking back on your career, uh, and if someone came up to you asking about Careerist, they were thinking about taking that leap and doing the program, would you say to them that Careerist was worth it for you?
I would say for me, Curious was 100% worth it. For me, I know a lot of people, at least from what I've heard with careerists, they talk a lot about the salary. Most people are making, I don't know, less than 50,000 a year, 60,000. I'm not sure, but with software, you definitely make more money. I was living in California. I was working at a Fortune 500 company. So for me, it wasn't about the money. I actually make less now, but for me, it was more about the freedom and being remote. So that was for me the main purpose of why I chose Careerist and the possibility to work remote. So for me, it was 1000% worth it. Also, like my partner lives outside the US. So now with my current job, it's much more flexible that I can leave more to see them. So yeah, I would do this 10 times over again. I'm kind of mad that it took me so long because I knew about it like a year before I decided to take the plunge. But if you're serious about changing careers, if you're serious about like having a program that's straight to the point and is with you throughout the whole process, I would say Curious is definitely 100% worth every penny.
Well, thank you, Malcolm, for sharing your experience, your journey, and how you ended up in this new field with more flexibility and a company that seems to really support you and your future career goals there. So, appreciate you sharing these insights today with us in the Course Report community. If you are listening or watching and are curious about careers, you can read careers reviews on Course Report. This interview was produced by the Course Report team in partnership with Careerist. Thank you for watching.